All right, going from an easy one to a tough one. Expectations. What's this one all about? Expectations is about what you think the price of the goods is going to be in the future. Okay? So, if you think that the price is going to change in the future, you might change your behavior today to anticipate that, which is going to show up in your demand, right? If everyone thinks, well, shoot, based on something in the future, I really want to buy this thing now, that is going to show up as buying this thing now, which is going to happen in demand curves right now. So let's say, for example, that you hear that some new technology is going to make washing machines a lot cheaper in the future, right? And so at that point, you're thinking about buying a washing machine, you're going to wait, right? You're not going to buy it today. You're going to be like, well, the price is about to drop by a whole bunch. I might as well just wait until that happens. I can buy a washing machine for a lot less, right? Your anticipation of the price change in the future is going to make you buy fewer washing machines today. So the demand is going to drop, which is going to have an interesting effect, right? Because what happens when that demand drops? What happens to the price?
It also drops.
It also drops. Thank you. Yeah. So you think the price is going to decrease in the future, so your demand decreases today, which makes the price decrease today. So whatever price change you anticipated in the future doesn't happen in the future, it happens now, right? It sort of pushes it backwards because you're responding as soon as you can. Same thing happens if the price you think is going to increase. If you think the prices of washing machines are going to get much more expensive, like let's say you think, oh, I heard they just passed a law, it's going to tax washing machines a whole lot, they're going to get more expensive. You're going to buy one immediately instead of waiting so you don't get stuck with the high price. What will that do? Shift demand to the right, the price will go up immediately, and whatever price change you anticipated based on the taxes is going to happen today. This is basically how the stock market works. Stocks are goods. You can buy and sell stocks in a stock market. So their prices are determined by supply and demand. It's also a highly competitive market. We'd expect that a lot of this stuff's going to apply pretty good. And we all know about the fact that people respond to anticipation of changes in prices in the future when we're talking about the stock market. And that's the whole idea. That's what stock brokers do. It's their whole job. So let's say you have a stock for $100. Some news comes out that people make that's good news for the company. They think the price of that stock's going to go up. They're not going to wait until that next year when the actual thing happens that's going to make the price go up. They're going to trade on that now, right? Why would they wait? Which means that the price of the stock is not going to go up to $120 in a year. It's going to go up to $120 right now, the second after the news comes out, right? It's going to jump up. So the anticipation of a price change in the future makes people want to change their behavior now, which is going to make demand shift now. So any anticipation in the future is going to get pushed backwards in time to change your price now. Another example of this is old car models. Every year they come up with new models of car. A lot of car examples, I guess. If you think that the new model of the car is going to come out, what's going to happen to the price of the old model of the car? They tend to drop immediately as soon as the new one's available. So if you're like a month from the new model coming out, you're not going to bother buying a new car because you know that if you just wait one more month, the new model will come out. Last year's will be a lot cheaper. You can just buy, the last year's model for a lot less. So if you're waiting for the 2020 Camry to come out, you're not going to buy the 2019 one now. You're going to wait. So demand for the 2019 Camry is going to drop immediately. So you should expect that the price is going to start going down even before the new model comes out. All right, last one. Number of buyers. So even if nothing is inherently changing about the desirability of a good, this is still adding up everybody in the market, right? It's taking everybody's buying behavior and adding it all up, right? Like, so when we did the car, when we all asked ourselves how much we're willing to pay for this black car here, and I added up what everybody was willing to buy, right? How many people were willing to buy the car to get the price. So that means if something changes about how many buyers are in the market, well, then that's going to change what our demand looks like. Right? Now remember, you're in the demand curve, whether or not you actually buy something, just based on what price you'd start buying it at. So this is really referring to new people actually entering the market, people who would not have bought at any price before, but now they will buy it at some price. Okay, so people come into a market, it's going to shift the demand curve to the right. People leave a market, they shift the demand curve to the left. So what's going to happen? What are the actual real world changes that are going to lead people entering and leaving the market. So some are pretty obvious. You can imagine like people literally coming into an area, right? A bunch of people moved to Seattle. Those people who would not have bought a Seattle restaurant meal at any price before, right? You can make it $1 to eat at the nicest restaurant in town, and somebody who lives in Houston is not going to do it. Right? But now they move to Seattle, now they will buy the nice restaurant meal at some price. So they have now entered the market. They have become a potential consumer. So as people move into an area, you would expect that demand for goods in that area is going to shift to the right? Nothing surprising about that. Same thing if people leave. People leave, you got fewer people in that area able to buy something really good. Demand's going to shift to the left. This can also happen if new users, people who would not have considered a product something they would be interested in before, then that changes. So helium is an example of that. Helium is used for a lot of different, industrial applications, also balloons, but also in recent years we found some new uses for helium, for example, in MRI machines. Right? So for the past several decades, since they figured out MRI machines, you need helium to run. And also in semiconductor manufacturing. So what happens when these new uses of helium are found? Well, people who, in this particular space in the hospital zone, or you buy MRI machines, they would not have been in the market for helium before, but now they are. That's an increase in the number of buyers of helium. At some price, they're going to be willing to buy helium. So when we find a new use for a good, what's going to happen to the demand curve for that good? It's going to increase, it's going to shift to the right, because we have a bunch of new buyers. So as you might expect, what's happening when demand increases, price goes up. So as we've discovered these new uses of helium, price has increased. That's not the only thing happening in the market for helium, but that is one thing. So helium prices are going really, really high. This actually led to fewer people, selling balloons. It's harder to find a balloon person for your party than it used to be. So this sort of previews a little bit that third question that we had about supply and demand, right? How do we decide who gets the stuff once we've made it, right? What were our three questions? What's happening with prices? What's happening with quantities? And who gets the stuff once we've made it? Well, what this is saying is that the market is sort of coming to the conclusion that people who sell party balloons are not going to get the stuff. They're not going to get the helium. Instead, people who run MRI machines and semiconductor manufacturing, they're going to get the helium. And that's who the helium is going to get allocated towards. All right, any questions about any of these demand shifts? Yeah.
The last thing you said, does that have to do with policy?
Oh yeah, all this sort of operates in the world for policies also. So the helium case, we have like the National Helium Reserve, and they've been sort of selling off a little bit more over time, right? Even if that policy was not in place, something about these new uses would be increasing the price and also shifting who's ends up using the helium.